Well, another major victory against radical far-left politics happened last night in the West.
Parece que sí.
After decades of socialist rule, in what is being described as a major political upset, Argentinians elected Javier Milei, a self-described anarcho-capitalist, as their new president to try and change the country's fortunes. Argentinians are living through an historic fiscal crisis right now. The inflation rate is over 140%. The lending rate is over 50%. And according to Reuters last year, close to 40% of Argentinians were living below the poverty line. And as you can see, Argentinians are pretty excited about Milei's victory. Argentina is just the latest country in the West to reject far-left socialist policies and embrace a different approach. European countries like the Netherlands, Sweden, and Italy have rejected socialism and embraced nationalism. And last month in New Zealand, the radical far-left Labour Party was ousted in favor of the conservative National Party. Now that leaves Justin Trudeau as one of the remaining faces of that mid-2010s far-left progressive political wave. And according to latest public data available, when Canadians finally do head to the polls, it looks increasingly likely that Justin Trudeau's Liberals are set for an historic defeat at the ballot box. And the Canadian legacy media reaction to Javier Milei's victory last night tells you all you need to know about what the Liberals in Ottawa are thinking of their fortunes when Canadians finally do head to the polls. Drop a like in the video, help us out by subscribing to the True North YouTube channel, and the comment question for the episode is this: is this the beginning of the end for radical far-left politics in the West? Let me know in the comments, and let's get into it. In case anyone hasn't noticed, Argentina's new president is not a big fan of the socialists who have run his country into the ground over the past few decades.
El zurdo de mierda no le podés dar ni un milímetro.
Pero ¿me podés definir zurdo de mierda que no
Todos
lo
los que,
entiendo?
digamos, los colectivistas, los que ponen, digamos, o sea, esa idea... A ver,
¿Por qué le pones de mierda, digamos?
Porque son una mierda. O sea,
vos mezclás...
no,
pero
es que si pensás,
pero
si pensás distinto te van a aniquilar. Ese es el punto. Es decir, vos al zurdo no le podés dar un milímetro, porque le das un milímetro y lo toma para destrozarte. Es decir, o sea, vos no podés negociar con el zurdo. No se negocia. No se negocia con esa mierda, no se negocia porque te van a llevar puesto. Ahora, si vos estás del otro lado, a vos te van a estropear. Te van a matar, te van a dar con lo que sea. No les importa arruinarte la vida. ¿Por qué? Porque no pensás como ellos. Como todos nos podemos equivocar, ¿sabes qué nos obligan? Nos obligan a ser mejores. Y como estamos siendo tan mejores que ellos, como los estamos aplastando en la batalla cultural, los estamos pasando de arriba, porque no solo le ganamos en lo productivo, somos superiores moralmente, somos superiores estéticamente, somos mejores en todo. Y les duele, les duele. Entonces, como no pueden pelear con las herramientas legítimas, se apalancan en el aparato represivo del Estado, poniendo torres de guita para hacernos mierda. Y aún así no pueden. ¿Me entendés? Que están perdiendo.
Imagine if a Canadian politician spoke that way about the leftists ruining this country. Milei is not what you would consider to be a conventional politician, given the clip you just saw. Yesterday, he was seen wielding a chainsaw in celebration with the people in the streets. Milei, an economist by trade, plans to slash public spending by 15%, abolish the central bank, and change Argentina's currency to the United States dollar. On social issues, Milei is without a doubt a social conservative. Milei opposes abortion and sexual education in schools, and of course is a staunch critic of woke political correctness. The decline of Argentina is truly remarkable. In the early 1900s, Argentina was one of the richest countries in the world, richer than France and Germany. Today, the poverty rate is close to 40%. In mid-September, Tucker Carlson went to Buenos Aires to interview Javier Milei. While he was there, he went to an unmarked building to exchange a $100 US bill for Argentinian pesos. Just take a look at how bad the hyperinflation is in Argentina and what $100 US gives you in Argentinian pesos. It's cartoonish.
This is so cool. Well, we're on the top floor of a building, unmarked. We just got buzzed in after waiting outside for a while, and trying to change a $100 bill.
Okay, how many money do you expect are you going to receive?
I don't know.
More or less. Guess.
Enough to keep my door from closing. A doorstop. Well, now I feel rich.
This is like Mad Max of caves. Don't seem like that?
That is... So how much is that worth? Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Amazing. How do you carry all this? Hold on.
In a bag.
In a bag. You know, it's obviously amusing, but it's also sad. Imagine if that was your country. This was your national currency, and it was like it had the value of home insulation, you know?
Stacks and stacks of worthless Argentinian pesos. Javier Milei's Libertarian Party received close to 14.5 million votes, compared to the establishment Socialist Party, who received 11.5 million votes. Now, maybe the attraction to Milei, other than the fact that he's actually trying to solve the problems Argentinians are facing, is that he doesn't speak like a politician. He doesn't even behave like a politician. He behaves like a normal person. Someone who is deeply frustrated with the current state of his country and wants to change it, and not beat around the bush. Take this campaign video of his, in which he explains his plan to slash public spending.
Turismo y deporte, afuera. Ministerio de Cultura, afuera. Ministerio de Ambiente y Desarrollo Sostenible, afuera. Ministerio de las Mujeres y Género y Diversidad, afuera. Ministerio de Obras Públicas, afuera. Aunque te resistas. Ministerio de Ciencia y Tecnología e Innovación, afuera. Ministerio de Trabajo, Empleo y Seguridad Social, afuera. Ministerio de Educación, Adoctrinamiento, afuera. Ministerio de Transporte, afuera. Ministerio de Salud, afuera. Ministerio de Desarrollo Social, afuera. Se acabó el curro de la política. ¡Viva la libertad, carajo!
Now, the Canadian legacy media, well, of course, to them, Javier Milei is a dangerous far-right candidate. This is CBC Radio Canada explaining Javier Milei. Now, my favorite Canadian legacy media reaction to Milei's victory was from CTV News, who described him as a fiery right-wing populist. Maybe the ridiculous reaction from Canada's legacy media to Javier Milei's victory is due in part because they can feel the same thing happening in Canada. A major rejection of radical far-left policies in favor of a newer, fresher, conservative alternative. Take a look at the polling coming out of Canada. It's absolutely ridiculous. Justin Trudeau's Liberals now have a less than 1% chance of coming out of the next election with the most amount of seats in Parliament, and a less than 1% chance of governing the country after the next election. So unlike Milei's victory, which has been described as a political upset, the eventual Liberal defeat in the next election won't be an upset at all. Look at New Zealand as this example of the change we are seeing in the West. Jacinda Ardern, one of Justin Trudeau's close personal friends and former president of the International Socialist Youth, resigned in disgrace from her post as Prime Minister of New Zealand before her party got blown out in the federal election to the Conservative National Party. Earlier this year in the Netherlands, the Dutch pro-farmer party, the BBB, won in the provincial elections, defeating Mark Rutte's party, fellow WEF buddy of Justin Trudeau, in a landslide victory. Other European countries have seen a similar shift in recent years, triggering a large-scale rejection of far-left socialism. And take a look at what's happening in Spain right now. Large-scale protests against the governing Socialist Party have taken place across the country. The Spanish also look set to reject their socialist rulers. Alright everyone, that's going to do it for us today on the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Reminder, let me know your answer to the common question. Is this the beginning of the end for radical socialist policies in the West? My name is Harrison Faulkner, and this is Ratio.